All right, hello and welcome back to the Carl
Your
Jackson
daily
Show.
dose of objective truth in a world of confusion.
We're going to be talking about that. I'm going to break it down because their policies are killing people.
Very important. We've got to restore sanity in America, and I think it's going to start happening. All right, welcome to the Carl Jackson Show. This is your daily dose of objective truth, your daily dose of freedom. Appreciate you joining us this evening. I got a lot of topics that I'm going to be hitting tonight. I have a guest joining me that I'll get to in just a second here. And you can probably see him on the screen. The man is heavy into politics and he's staying pretty busy. And I absolutely love it. It's fine. But some things that I'm going to sound off on, I didn't get an opportunity last week. Carmelo Anthony was denied a retrial after he murdered Austin Metcalf. That happened pretty quickly. I love the way the judge just put an end to that nonsense over the weekend. So I will opine on that momentarily. The Supreme Court hands Trump preliminary victories on mail-in ballots. I will be getting into that with my guest. I didn't speak on the attempted, or at least not much, on the attempted terror attack on the New York State Capitol last week. I'm going to I'm going to connect the dots with some of these candidates, these DSA candidates, because I fear that some of these candidates, like the El Saids of the world, are using socialism as a Trojan horse for Islamism. We'll get into that. Did Jesse Watters, speaking of, just in the campaign of El Said? I want to touch on that. Scott Bessent announces Operation Economic Outcast. All eyes are on the South Carolina primary as we speak. And now joining me is my guest, the president of the Conservative Caucus, Jim Paff. I've had him on before. This guy knows the ins and outs of politics. He's worked on Capitol Hill. He knows how the sausage is made. Jim, welcome back to the program. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me on, Carl. Glad to be with you again.
All right, yes, sir. And I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. I love your wisdom. I love your knowledge when it comes to politics here. Let's start here. Wall Street Journal had a piece earlier, and obviously the Trump administration is pursuing this. The Trump administration is preparing to revoke up to 200,000 visas from so-called asylum seekers. Let me get your initial response.
In this case, it's appropriate. What's happening here is that these are people who came in on HB1 and HB2 visas, and then later they and between, I think it's between 2016 and 2026, and they later sought asylum in the United States. When you have an HB1, HB2 visa, you're intended to be going back to your country at some time. So that's the basic construct of those visas. And so if you turn that into an asylum request, utilizing that process getting in, the Trump administration is saying that's fraudulent. That's a fraudulent use of the immigration process. And I think that they're right to consider it that way. And so they're beginning this process. It'll be relatively slow. They say approximately 200,000. But the reality is that we have to enforce immigration policy. I mean, it's just another in a train of things that Donald Trump's doing to try to clean up the massive immigration problem we have, which has been mostly opening up the border that's taken place under the Biden administration in particular. But it also happens with misuse of the asylum process outside of border crossings and other aspects of our immigration policy. And what's interesting about this, and the basic argument that people on the left make when they're trying to oppose this, is they say, well, when this happens, the way the Trump administration is taking care of it violates due process. But the reality is, people here on non-citizen status of any sort, they don't enjoy the same due process rights. There are some process things put into our immigration code which allows for some adjudication, but it's not the same as a full due process right that Americans enjoy. These things can be determined by the Department of Justice under the advisement of the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State has certain authorities that he or she can undertake, and in this case, Marco Rubio can undertake to deal with these things. That's what the Trump administration's doing. They're right to do it. We've got still a massive problem. And in fact, I think there are reasons to be slightly critical of the Trump administration for not getting more people out of here. But they are doing a really solid job. And this is just one step in trying to get this back in order.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people will look at us as meanies here, Jim. Again, I'm speaking to my guest, Jim Paff of the Conservative Caucus, theconservativecaucus.com, theconservativecaucus.com, theconservativecaucus.com. If you want to know the ins and outs of politics, and now a passion that he has for polling as well, I encourage you to to follow Jim. The guy knows his stuff. I was in actually X Spaces with him, and I tend to stay quiet in X Spaces, or at least I did. I don't go in as frequently as I used to in the past. And there were always a couple of people that I was just so impressed with that knew what they were talking about when it came to again, how the sausage is made inside of DC. And this was one of the guys. So it's always it's nice to have him on. It's nice to have him as a resource here. Jim, listen, this is, to me, this is absolute nonsense. The left knows what they're doing. There's no reason for these people to be able to come to America. We allow them, we give them the privilege to come to the United States of America. They come here on business visas. They come here on the tourism visas. I'm not even sure exactly what all of the tourism visa entails, quite frankly. But and then these people to claim asylum in order to stay inside of the United States is absolutely asinine to me. I don't think they left their country for fear of death or religious persecution, so on, etc. They wanted to pursue a better life in the United States of America. And I'm tired of Democrats talking about, I'm tired of Democrats framing this nonsense as if we're kicking out citizens when these people are not citizens. I think we've got to be the dumbest. I'm not sure that any other country is dumb enough to do what we do. We literally allow in nearly 1 million legal immigrants every year. This despite the fact that we had an invasion on our border for 4 years straight under the Biden administration. And now we have to deal with the nonsense from the left that don't want to get rid of these people because, in my opinion, Jim, they're afraid that if any of these people leave, they're basically losing votes.
Well, that's actually a huge part of why they want to do this. There are other things too. I mean, so many were castigated for promoting what the left always called, the left and Democrats always called the Great Replacement theory. They said that was false. That's not happening. What are you talking about? Well, in reality, it has been happening. And we see it now more clearly than before. Like they might have had an argument that could be misunderstood because people didn't know all the information. Well, we got the information now. And I know we'll probably talk about the ruling on the post office later, which is attempting to stop illegals from voting. These people Democrats need illegals to win elections. We already know that there are hundreds of thousands of illegals that are registered to vote. We don't know. I don't think we have the number yet precisely how many have actually voted, but we know it's happening. We know it happened, for example, in New Jersey, and they fudged their numbers. They're much lower than they actually are, but New Jersey admitted that they had 400 to 500 people voted illegally and 6,600 people on the voter rolls. It's happening. And the other problem that is taking place here is that there are many states that will give illegals driver's licenses. Well, we've got what's called the motor voter law that's been around for a long period of time. It's now under the name HAVA. It was adjusted. And that law allows for voter registration in the license branch. Now, we never did do that in this country until about the 1990s. You had to go and purposefully register yourself to vote. They know that if they have these people in the country, that they can take advantage of them that way. But they give other benefits as well, too. Even if they're not voting, we also know that the Census Bureau was counting our census wrong.
Right.
They would actually include illegals in the counts, and illegals tend to go to sanctuary cities and sanctuary states that tend to be Democrat states to take out that would take out or would add, to the vote in certain congressional districts. So reapportionment, the last one we went through in 2020, was frankly incredibly skewed. That's one of the reasons you had the redistricting battles that have been taking place in 2025 and 2026. So this is a plan of the Democrats. It's part of their strategy. It's why Mark Elias was leading the charge to stop the post office from implementing what Donald Trump is attempting to implement to stop this problem. So this is a real issue, and we got to cut it off. And Donald Trump's the only guy that's ever really tried.
Yeah, this is so important, such an important argument or important point that Jim Paff is making of the conservativecaucus.com. They want illegals in as well. Obviously, they can get more House seats, more federal funding. They want to abolish the Electoral College. So make no mistake about it, Democrats have a plan, and that plan includes illegal immigration. This is the Carl Jackson Show. Hey guys, just a reminder to please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcasts. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Salem Podcast Network, wherever you go to get your podcast, The Carl Jackson Show. Don't forget to check out Jim's website, theconservativecaucus.com. Where can people go to find you online here, Jim? And I'll ask you when we...
One of the best ways is to go on X at Jim Paff. And for those who see the video, just spell out my name in all one word, at Jim Paff, JIMPFAFF. I'm posting there all the time. Also, Conservative Caucus on X, TC Caucus.
TC Caucus. All right. I followed you, and I don't know why. Okay. All right. Let's get back to it, Gabe. Can we come in with cut number, I believe it's cut number 3, video number 3. Make some people a little hot under the collar. No, wait a minute. That isn't it. That isn't it. That's the wrong one. No, that's not the one I'm looking for. I'm looking for the arrest of the illegals, but I have the wrong one listed here. Oh my goodness. Is it really? Okay. I don't have anything past 19 because I do not have my laptop in front of me. So I may need your help with how many beyond 19. Oh, great. Okay. Okay, let's see what cut number 20 is. Hopefully this is the right one. If not, audience, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's it.
You ain't going anywhere, Poppy. You got him. Stop resisting, sir.
Listen, law enforcement never looks pretty. It never looks pretty. So I can understand why when you're looking at that, you're like, oh my goodness, can't they handle things a different way? No, no, we can't. I mean, honestly, we have to make sure. And I know that there's some people that come here, they want a better opportunity. I get it. You cannot cut in front of the line. And I'm sorry, illegal immigration impacts everybody. It impacts every American. It impacts the legal, the person that did it legally. It impacts the youth. The youth is concerned about affordability. Well, one aspect is rent affordability. You know, from previous shows of mine with Center for Immigration Studies, Mark Krikorian and his crew, that, I mean, rental prices in some cities are going down because illegals are having to go home. I mean, it really does have an impact. When you see a video like that, Jim, I mean, a lot of you put this type of video on CNN and they will to make things look bad. But bottom line is all these ICE heroes are doing, in my opinion, or actually not in my opinion, factually doing, are just enforcing the laws that Congress has passed.
They are. You're always in any police force, any police effort that happens, whether it's of a federal nature like ICE or any local police department, you're obviously going to have errors here and there. But the authorities that ICE is using to undertake these activities is clearly spelled out in the law. There's no ambiguity about it. And this person, I mean, it may seem really, dirty looking or whatever your thought is when you watch the video, but in reality, it's not just them, the ICE officers trying to perform their duties. It's someone that's resisting them performing their duties. And that is a huge problem. In fact, almost all of the criticism against ICE, saying that they're like a Gestapo and all these words that Democrats use to go against ICE, all they're doing is twisting the situations as they occur and taking things like this video or stories that come out of these sort of arrests that are taking place and twisting it against ICE when the people themselves are not doing what they ought to do. And listen, ICE I'm sure that they've made some mistake. Someone's going to find an anecdotal evidence of some mistake that was made in terms of someone that they arrest. Some of those have come out there, but the vast majority of these are entirely legal and in fact, not just are they part of the law that they must do it, they're duty bound to do it because that is what they are supposed to do. Donald Trump actually is duty bound to do what he's been doing with ICE. And it's something, by the way, that is overblown during the Trump administration. Like everyone's complaining about it when it happens in all administrations, but the focus and degree to which he is doing it is greater than previous presidents who have not been very strong about this. Now, to be candid, the Obama administration was spending a lot of effort in ICE deporting people, and his numbers overall were greater than what Donald Trump's been able to do so far in his administration, and certainly he's going to be able to do much more. But no one criticizes Obama for doing the very same thing that Donald Trump was doing, or at least doing it in a similar way. Donald Trump must do it, or he's not upholding the office of president. The laws on the books he is required to enforce. His cabinet members and those in the administration who are assigned these various duties, he is duty bound to direct them to do it in the proper way. The lawlessness that has existed, certainly in the Biden administration and many administrations before that, is an outrage, and Americans should be upset if Donald Trump weren't doing this.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I would even make this point here, Jim, as far as President Trump not being able to eclipse Obama when it comes to these numbers. I mean, the judges weren't activists towards Obama when he was in office. I mean, they let everything fly through. With Trump, everything, literally everything the man does is a fight in the court system, which tells you why it's really important that when Republican presidents get in office, you need to fill their cabinet, but Republicans should fill their cabinet positions as quickly as possible. You have to make a fight for the courts because you got a bunch of activists, American-hating activists on the courts, or at least liberals, far left liberals, in my opinion, that just don't have the same view of secure borders and sovereignty that many of us on the right have. I want to play another video for you real quickly here. If we could go to cut number 3 here, Gabe. This is a poll from CNN, basically admitting 76% of Black Americans are demanding voter ID. 82% of white voters or 85% of white voters, 82% of Latino voters. I suspect the others want to cheat, or they're extremely woke, are not really paying attention to politics. But if we could roll cut number 3, por favor, Gabe.
Take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of Black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote.
So something of a non.
So I have a theory here, Jim Paff of the conservativecaucus.com. I have a theory, and I love Harry Anton. But when CNN is out there parroting numbers like this, I think it's a warning to Democrats. I mean, it is information that is useful and accurate, I believe, and that we all need and could use. But I also think when CNN is talking about it, it's saying, hey, listen, Democrats, this isn't a hill that you want to die on.
There's certainly some degree of that, but keep in mind these numbers are propagating themselves as they're also sharing these other numbers too. You know, the American, I always say this, the American people are often, when it comes to elections, when it comes to what's happening with policy, they're often slow on the uptake, but they ultimately get it. The American people are not dumb. They do know what's going on. Now, you've got a group of Americans, probably 25, 30% of them, that are so radicalized on the left and such committed Democrat voters that you can't move their minds. But in 2024, you had independents and Hispanic folks and a large number of folks in the Black community that voted for Donald Trump because they got frustrated with everything that has been happening. So sure, this is a warning to Democrats, but if it is, they're not taking it. They're doing just the opposite. They're fighting against these things. The real problem with these particular numbers related to voter ID and the support for it around the country, which is massive, is that Republicans won't act on it by passing the Save America Act. John Thune has been entirely a wimp. And in fact, most of the problems that Democrats have caused in this country have been because of Republican leadership fecklessness, cowardice, unwillingness to press the agenda that the American people are really just striving for. I mean, this is the reason, part of the reason that Donald Trump has ever became president and got elected twice, maybe 3 times if he has something to say about it. But because they want these things to change in this manner. So, I mean, it's a message, but the Democrats aren't getting it. Republicans should get it, and they're not.
Michael Savage would always say borders, language, culture. I'm sure he probably still says the same. And it's so true. This is so important. This is what makes the Save America Act so important. I've heard some conservatives argue it's not going to make that big of a difference. No, it's going to make a heck of a lot of it, a heck of a big difference. In my opinion, you want people to feel secure or know that their elections are secure. You don't want to leave the doors open for fraud and for cheating. You want to encourage less of it. You want to make sure that people understand that their vote counts and it's not being nullified by some fraudster. And this is so important. And frankly, I don't want places like California to be able to continue to do what they do, where you don't have to have ID. You can anybody can show up. You've had video of James O'Keefe out there, and I think it was Minnesota, where he could vouch for like 8 people. Just absolutely insane. Insane to me. The only thing I would say for the Republican Party is the DSA is a blessing from heaven for them in these midterms. 30 seconds here, Jim.
Yeah, no, I think the DSA is becoming an ick factor. I think that was highlighted with El Sayed running in Michigan Senate on Jesse Waters the other night when he was really weird. So I think there is an ick factor growing, and Republicans need to take advantage of it.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, Jim. Jim, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you coming on. I hope Republicans are listening. All right. Jim Paff, thefreedomcaucus.com, Freedom Caucus, theconservativecaucus.com, theconservativecaucus.com, theconservativecaucus.com. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Carl.
All right, guys, you are listening to the Carl Jackson Show. We were speaking about El Sayed. Are we good there on that end there, Gabe? All right, so we're speaking about El Sayed. I want to get into that topic next. I'd love to be able to join. I'd love to be able to grab my laptop, but I don't want to leave you guys because I want to know what's going on in Carolina. And unfortunately, my eyesight is not the greatest. You know what? Let's do this. And then we can get right back here to this. You are listening to the Carl Jackson Show. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. Follow me on all things social media at Carl Jackson Show, at the Carl Jackson Show. Oh man, do we have any montage of Dolly Parton here, Gabe? Unfortunately, without my laptop, I don't know if we were able to create one. Oh, let's hear it. Okay. Let's come back in with that message from Dolly Parton's, I believe, nephew. I've heard this a couple of times. I want you guys to hear it.
Hey everyone, my name is Brian Seaver, son of Cassie Parton, and I am representing the Parton and Owens family today, announcing the passing of my Aunt Dolly Rebecca Parton Dean, sister, sis, Aunt Granny to one generation and Gigi to the next. This video announcement is something Dolly asked of me years ago, before I fully absorbed it as a future reality. As her head of security for more than 2 decades, a role my father Larry held before me, I have imagined the heaviness of this moment, but haven't truly felt it until now. It is an honor that is mixed with absolute pride and great sadness. But sadness lies with us, not with Dolly. Dolly has lived in the light and is in the arms of Jesus, surely met by Carl, her parents, and countless others who have watched her and longed for her to meet them in the heavens. I first went on the road with Dolly as a kid, getting a taste of the road life in the early 1980s. Dolly opened doors not just for me, but for her entire family to reach the potential we didn't even know was possible. Dolly also opened doors for generations of singers, songwriters, musicians, and dreamers from every walk of life and across every continent. By her example, we believed that anything was possible. She never saw a door she couldn't open, and the doors she opened made and changed history. My family and I have shared a lifetime of beautiful memories with Dolly, but so have you. She has always been on your television, your record player, your CD, and on your phone playlist, becoming an extended part of your family whether you liked it or not. Our family and the team she has entrusted with her legacy will work diligently to ensure her spirit will live with us forever. Dolly was a farmer, just like her daddy. He farmed the soil, she farmed songs and happiness. Dolly called me and said she wants to rest in a beautiful bed of plush cotton because after a life wearing heavy rhinestones, she finally deserves to be comfortable and have some rest. Rest in peace, Aunt Dolly, Aunt Granny, Gigi. May God bless Dolly Parton, and may God bless you all. She will always love you.
Man. You know, Dolly Parton was one of those figures. I'm not the only one to say it. I've heard plenty of people say it, honestly. But I don't care about your, I don't care about your ethnicity. I don't care about your political party. She was one of those figures that everybody just had a good thing to say something about. People loved her. People loved her music. People loved her. I mean, my dad. I can remember my dad would shows back in the day she would be on, or well, Dolly Parton. I mean, everybody just loved Dolly Parton. And black, white, Latino. I've never heard anybody say anything bad, about Dolly Parton. So it was sad to, it's sad to see her go. She's one of those big figures like I heard someone say, and I don't know what that was like, but they were like, "This is like an Elvis type, type big." And I got to tell you, it feels huge to me. I mean, I was a Michael Jackson fan, that felt huge. I was a Prince fan, that felt huge. This feels huge. This is a lady that's done a lot of great work. I understand she had a reading program, an initiative, charity where she had given out. I think I heard 280 million free books to kids so that they could learn to read. I mean, just absolutely amazing. We know of her business ventures, so on, etc. And now she's Lord willing, she's in heaven with her husband Carl and her other family members. So she will be missed. It was always a pleasure. I remember she came out and did the Super Bowl. That was just a few years ago or whatever. She came out and did did the Super Bowl, and anyway, man, she just had a way of staying relevant, seemingly just being kind and authentic. But obviously, she knew what she was doing business wise. She was a great talent. She was a great treasure. And honestly, it's sad to see her go. I mean, these are figures I remember growing up with and names I remember growing up with, and as they pass away, your own mortality becomes even more clarifying. So anyway, God bless the Parton family. Pray for peace and comfort for them. And I pray that Dolly Parton is resting in the arms of Jesus right now. Okay, so let me get to this. I want to cover this El Said. issue. And I'm wondering if if Jesse Waters has just ended Saeed's campaign. So anyway, we're going to run some video for you. I'm going to respond to some of this stuff because I think this is such an important election year. These midterms are so important, particularly because what the left is counting on, particularly these DSA candidates. And I understand that El Said is trying to distance himself from Hassan Piker a little bit, although he can't because he was campaigning with Hassan Piker. And honestly, I don't even think Hassan Piker is the biggest issue out there. The guy is an anti-Semite. The guy is an evil, despicable Nepo baby. But the bigger issue to me is that it seems as though these candidates were taking their marching orders from Hassan Parker. We saw that lady Frances Hung, or I forget her name, I believe that was in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. I forget where she was, but regardless, DSA candidate, where she was basically Hassan Piker was just naming all of these policy things that were totally antithetical to America, defund the police, get rid of prisons, all this kind of nonsense. And she was just yes, 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 and I'm like, man, is this guy running running the DNC? And I don't think there's a difference between the DSA and the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party has been taken over by the Democratic Socialists, so they're one and the same, in my opinion. So, without further ado, I want to just remind you of some videos. Also, we have more on the WNBA after the drama over the weekend when it comes to Ennis Cancer, and we'll get to that. But I want to start with. Oh man, did I get it? Forgive me. Let's start. We'll just go in order here. Let's start with cut number 8, please, Gabe. Cut number 8. This is Abdul Al Saeed on the Jesse Waters show. Jesse Waters. It was an interview that lasted 25 minutes. Obviously, we're not going to go that long, but I want to play some clips and react to some of those clips. Cut number 8, please, Gabe.
So you're saying Beyonce, who just became a billionaire, she has to break you off something every year? She has to pay the politicians?
It's not me. It's the American public.
You're
Beyonce,
the one that
I think,
wants
would
the
be
money.
happy to be able to contribute back to the public schools that she went to. I think she'd be happy to invest in good roads in her community. I think she'd be happy to pay a little bit more so that everybody had a little bit more.
You're reaching a little deep into the pockets,
to be defending
Abdul.
billionaires from your channel, Jesse. That's a crazy thing. I thought you were for. I'm just saying. Look, at the end of the day, I thought you were for the everyday man. Like if you're for billionaires more than you're for everybody, the person. Well, you and I are just going to disagree.
No, I just think I have the right to the fruits of my own labor.
Yeah, I mean, socialism is fascinating to me. This class warfare is fascinating to me. It's totally anti-American. What right does El Said have to say that he deserves the fruits of your labor? What right? Frankly, it's irrelevant. Billionaire, trillionaire, 100,000-aire, like me, $100 heir. What right does he have to the fruits of your labor? If you didn't steal that money, if you came up with an idea, if you came up with a product, or someone came up with a product, we don't bash those people. We cheer those people on. We want to be like those people. We want that type of success, not necessarily morally, but we want that type of success. That's one of the things that makes America great. You have the opportunity to succeed. You have the opportunity to fail. Doesn't mean you'll be a billionaire. Doesn't mean you'll be a millionaire. But we've never been the type of society, or at least not until recently, more recently, where we're just like, yeah, we hate that guy. We hate that lady because they've gone out, they've busted their butts, and they've done something wonderful. Most wealth in America is not inherited. People work hard for that money. They build businesses. They provide jobs. Has El Said done that? So what right does he have to say that a billionaire, you can tax a billionaire all you want. You can take all the wealth from all the billionaires in the United States of America. You can even take the wealth and their assets from Elon Musk. What will it run the government for, a fiscal year? Maybe. And then what are they going to do? I mean, we're up to a $40 trillion deficit, in debt. $40 trillion we've just hit. running trillion-plus-dollar deficits annually. You really think you can tax what, a few hundred, maybe thousand billionaires? That's going to make up the money that these people want? No, this is about getting you to hate somebody that you have no business hating, because that's all the left has to go on. They don't have any policies that work. See, what El Sayed can't do and what he didn't do was go on Jesse Waters and say, "You know what? I'm going to provide you the opportunity to become wealthier in America by eliminating regulation where government isn't in the way." That's what I want to do. I want to make sure that American greatness, American entrepreneurship, all of that kind of stuff can thrive when I'm elected into the Senate. That's what I want to work on, making the American people greater. How are you making the American people greater by saying, "I want what you have"? You don't deserve. It doesn't matter if I make $10,000 a year. That's irrelevant. A homeless person wants that. What right do you have to say, "I deserve your blood, sweat, and tears, everything you work for"? You don't. It's disgusting. It's despicable. It's evil. The money amount doesn't matter. Okay. You are listening to the Carl Jackson Show. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, The Carl Jackson Show. That is The Carl Jackson Show. Wherever you go to get your podcast, all things social media at Carl Jackson Show, all things social media at Carl Jackson Show or at The Carl Jackson Show. You'll find me in either case. All right. Now, that was just one of the videos that I wanted to play for you. Gabe, would you remind me what 21, 22, the five after I know we played one, but just real quickly what the other four are. 24, I think. Don't worry about it, actually. If you see one that's relevant in there, I can't remember without my laptop, so forgive me. Okay, we can get back to this. Hopefully, can you hear me? Okay. Oh, good. Okay. El Sayed. All right, good. Okay. 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 All right, sounds good. All right, let's roll it. Okay, welcome back to the program. So we're just gonna do the El Sayed. This is the El Sayed show because I want this guy to lose. I don't want America to become a nation where of socialists. And frankly, I do believe that El Sayed is using socialism as a Trojan horse to usher in Islamism. The guy is clearly an anti-Semite. You wouldn't be hanging around a person like Hassan Piker if you weren't. You wouldn't be. You simply wouldn't be. So let's play some more clips for you. I hope that people don't vote for this guy. And this guy, I got to give Mamdani credit. I can't stand Mamdani. I know that he's destroying New York City. The destruction of New York City can't come fast enough. I hope people will wake up. I hope and pray that people will wake up. I don't want to see, as a conservative, I don't want to see any of our great cities, destroyed. But I will give this to Mamdani, despite the fact that I know Mamdani believes the same despicable beliefs as El Sayed does. The guy knows how to play the role. I can't stand the smile all the time. It annoys the crud out of me. But he has a gift where he's able to seem likable, even though his policies are completely dangerous, that I don't think El Sayed has. And it's starting to wear on people, as well as the fact that he's making these cases for socialism that basically aren't working. And he's not a likable guy. He's clearly arrogant, and it's coming across. Let's go to cut number 17. This is more of El Sayed. This was a crazy argument. This is El Sayed on the transgender movement. Cut number 17, please, Gabe.
Sex changes for minors. Do you support that?
Look, you know, I remember having great conversations with my conservative friends about right to try legislation. The idea that the government shouldn't tell you what kind of health care you should have. I just think the government shouldn't tell you what kind of health care you should have. And if you're a minor, it's between
you want to
your
try
doctor
on
and your
kids?
parent. Now, if you disagree with that, if you disagree that healthcare decisions need to be made by a doctor and their parents and a patient, then we think we agree to disagree. But you know, you want to put government inside
So,
a
Abdul,
clinic
you're
or
a doctor,
hospital
right?
selectively. I am.
So you think it's okay
go
for
ask-
a parent to
you don't believe
slash
me,
his
so just
kid's
go ask Columbia
thing-a-ling off?
University.
You think that's okay?
I mean, do you really want to have this conversation? Are you circumcised?
Yeah, but I mean, that's a
Jesse, are you?
personal question.
Okay.
Doctor.
So you probably should want to move on. You probably should want to move on.
And
Yeah, I'm just
circumcision's
saying.
different than castration.
I think it's a problem. It's a problem that you think that you get to decide what happens between a parent, a doctor, and a patient. And I'm just saying that, yes, circumcision is surgery on a kid's ding-a-ling. So if you really want to bring that
Okay.
up, you can. I just think you guys are really selective about how you
That's
want to talk about these
wacky.
things.
Abdul, Michigan's not going for that. That is sick stuff.
I think Jesse Waters may have taken this guy down, and I don't think he intended to do so necessarily. He allowed the guy to talk. Now, El Said just said, I don't want government to get, I don't want government to dictate healthcare, basically. I'm paraphrasing there. Isn't he running on healthcare for all? Isn't he a politician running on how the government should control the healthcare system? I mean, that's totally crazy. I'm actually a little surprised Jesse Waters didn't call him on that, but maybe he was so taken aback, and I probably would have been too, when he's sitting there asking the guy whether or not he's circumcised. Completely inappropriate and disgusting. But nonetheless, sitting there asking the question. But I'm like, this guy is running on totally overtaking and overhauling the healthcare system, as if the Obamacare didn't do enough. If you like your doctors, you can keep it. A family of four is going to pay less now. All of those were complete and utter lies, and Obama was going for the exact same thing. And now these people are saying the system that Democrats put in place under Obamacare, they're going to make better. Do you believe them? I certainly hope not. If you like wait times, vote for El Said. If you want higher premiums, because it's going to come down to that. If you want worse care, if you want to wait in line, or you have to make appointments weeks and months out, vote for El Said. If you want the VA style health care that veterans will tell you over and over and over again stinks, vote for El Said. I mean, this is crazy. I don't want the government dictating to people what type of healthcare they can have, but I'm running on healthcare for all. And then he has the audacity, because he supports the mutilation of children. That's what he just did. And he was trying to make it, Jesse, I don't think you want to go there, with his little cocky behind, as if circumcision, as if cutting off foreskin is the same as chopping off a person's genitalia, where they're going to have lifelong suffering physically and mentally as a result of it. And he thought that was a great argument. More of El Said. Let's go to cut number 18. This is El Said on the Green New Deal. And honestly, by letting this guy talk, it appears as though Jesse Waters isn't the greatest debater on Fox News, but it's clear that El Said is not likable. And when it comes to at least talking about policy, he's not that bright. He's just cocky and arrogant. And he's expecting, and what he's hoping for, is that he can play the race card so that he can usher in his policies. It was just like Obama did. Oh, you know what? Obama started implementing these socialist style policies. Obamacare obviously being a huge one. You guys remember Fast and Furious? You guys remember weaponizing the government, the IRS scandal, where they were going after Tea Party members and different conservatives that were setting up political organizations, nonprofits. Absolutely amazing. Cut number 18. Por favor.
Green New Deal. You back that up. Do you drive an electric car?
I drive a plug-in hybrid made right in the United States. The bigger question about cars, though, is why the president just started a trade war or escalated a trade war with Canada. It's about to make all of our cars, especially the internal combustion engine cars, so much more expensive.
You
Also,
want to
we can
get
talk about
rid
the
of the
actual war in
internal
Iran that's raising our
combustion
gas
engine.
prices. No, I don't. Who told you that?
That's what the Green
My
New
dad
Deal
came to America
says.
to design internal combustion engines. No, that's
The
not
Green
what
New Deal
says.
says phase out
It says
fossil
that we
fuels.
could build renewable energy opportunities. Look, I'm not going to defend the Green New Deal. What I'm telling you, though, is that we could make a whole
You're
lot
on the
more
record
amazing
as
jobs if we actually
backing the
invested
Green
in
New Deal,
renewable energy.
Abdul.
Look, I'm just telling you this. Are you opposed to the idea that we could reduce energy costs and create jobs in Michigan? Are you opposed to that?
Absolutely, but I don't want windmills in Lake Michigan.
So you're absolutely opposed to that?
Yeah, I don't want to
So
put
you'd rather have a
windmills in
pipeline
Lake Michigan,
than you'd
do
rather have
you?
windmills.
I don't think the people in
Well, I don't
Michigan
want a
want that,
pipeline in Lake
Abdul.
Michigan, and right now we
If
have
you're
one of
running
those.
on that, that's not going to
Jesse,
go
look,
over too
we
well.
have a pipeline. No, I mean, Jesse, look, we can have a conversation if you want to. You want to keep cutting me off. We could keep doing that too. But you told me we're going to have a good conversation. I just want to talk about something.
Go ahead.
Right now, we have an oil pipeline in the Great Lakes. If that oil pipeline were to burst, the consequences for our Great Lakes would be disastrous. Now, you're telling me that you'd rather have a situation where that happened than a windmill? That really is so offensive to you?
No.
Now, those windmills are good
I'm saying
union
I don't
jobs.
want to
If
get
we
rid
built
of
more them,
fossil
we'd
fuels,
reduce
and
the
that's what
price
the
of
Green New
electricity.
Deal does.
So you notice the left always brings up worst case scenarios. Well, if the oil pipelines were to burst, listen, nobody wants that to happen, but it's also natural. It's also natural. I mean, literally, the ocean would clean that stuff up. It's natural. It's amazing to me that men want to make these electric vehicles, by the way, that do more damage in the production cycle than you driving an ICE engine for what, 7-10 years or what have you. Do more destruction to the environment, but they get to feel good about themselves by driving these electrical vehicles. People know the facts now. People aren't buying this nonsense. He isn't for the Green New Deal, but he was for the Green New Deal. He was making arguments for the Green New Deal, basically, but yet he wasn't. This guy would be an absolute disaster. And again, what it is, all of their policies, notice what all of their policies do. Everything is dire. The world is falling. That's why they want the Green New Deal. They want you to be so scared, and they want you to be so scared that the sky is falling, that if you don't vote for stuff like the Green New Deal, eliminating fossil fuels and all that kind of stuff, they want you to believe that the world is going to come to an end when nothing could be further from the truth. But they hook you on that. They scare you, and then they say, see, we're fighting, fossil fuels are an existential threat, which is completely asinine. All you have to do is look at everything you're wearing, everything you touch, basically, that is made with some type of petroleum product. It's insane. I mean, whether you're brushing your teeth, combing your hair, putting on clothing, you're using some type of material that has been made with petroleum. So it's just insane that they would say this, but people buy into this nonsense. But it is the politics of fear that these people use. And I'm glad Jesse Waters, he didn't even have to debate him much. He's just getting pressed. This is what the left isn't used to. This is what the DSA isn't used to. They're not used to getting questions and having to answer questions from people that think differently from them. Even if you're able to ask a basic questions, if you're inquisitive and you're like, I'm not sure about that, it throws them off. This guy has looked like a genius. He's looked all cocky when you see clips of him in front of people of like minds that want to destroy America too, albeit they have no idea that they would be doing so, sadly, many of them, for voting for this guy. But the guy, when he's forced to answer questions, he's just not that bright. All he has is the talking points. That's all they know. That's all they have. More on El Said. You are listening to the Carl Jackson Show. Okay, let's start right back. You are listening to the Carl Jackson Show. Like, share, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast, the Carl Jackson Show. Oh, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We will really, really appreciate that. Also, all things social media at Carl Jackson Show, at the Carl Jackson Show. Let's go to cut number 18. Pull up by bull. Start with cut number 18, if you would. Oh, no, we just played cut number 18. Cut number 19, I'm sorry.
We have ICE now, and we have far, far more undocumented people. So ICE is clearly not working. It's just shooting like American citizens in the face and the back of the head. So
Well,
if you're okay
illegals
with
are
that,
shooting
then I guess
people
we
in the
just
face,
have to agree
too.
to disagree.
Abdul, you got a guy
Yes,
in Michigan.
so are American citizens.
You got a
I just
guy.
think, look,
let me
we
just
have
say
a
something,
responsibility
okay?
to get
Abdul,
back to the conversation about the broader issues.
Okay.
Well, you cut me off, Jesse, and you said we're going to have a good conversation, so I'd like to do that. I just want to answer the point. When I travel the state, and I have traveled my state,
Yeah.
more people are asking me about how they're going to afford their gas and groceries. They're not asking me about immigration.
Well,
Now,
they also
I
don't
know
want to
that's
get
an issue that
molested.
your
Abdul, you
president
got a
and
guy
ran
here
on.
from Southeast Asia, molested a kid. ICE just picked him up. You want that guy to stay in Michigan?
I'm glad that guy got picked up, but that's a different thing than saying that INS would not have picked him up. Jesse, you're too smart for this. Come on.
It's a
That is
bureaucratic
gotcha
game you're
There's
playing,
one
and that's
guy,
a
you point to
dodge.
him,
All right, ICE. It's amazing. You saw the argument that this guy made. Basically, we have more illegal aliens, even though ICE, we had ICE. Well, ICE were babysitters. So were the Customs and Border Patrol under the Biden administration. I was going to say Obama, basically the same thing, and not quite, because at least Obama enforced the borders, but there were parts of his administration or during his presidency where kids were flooding the zone here. But nonetheless, for the most part, the Obama administration did enforce the borders, because at one time they really wanted the white union vote, and before they decided to abandon that for and play the race card and go into to identity politics big time. But this is absolutely crazy to me. The left, as I was speaking of earlier with Jim Path. All right, so the left wants to make sure that again, the Trump administration is preparing to revoke up to 200,000 visas from so-called asylum seekers. They don't want these people to go anywhere. I feel, listen, the pictures, the videos, they don't look good. I know there are stories behind them, but here's the bottom line: if you don't have laws, you don't have a country. And the reason why people risk their life and limb, or the reason why people sacrifice to come here legally, is because they're leaving oftentimes socialist countries where the rule of law, there is no real rule of law, right? It's just the rich. The middle class is utterly destroyed and wiped out. So you just have the rich and the poor, and then it is the rich and the elite and the well-connected and the socialist dictator that gets to determine how the rest of the people leave. So they flee that for an opportunity to be free at the very least. And it's amazing to me how these people want to bring this nonsense here. Gabe, make sure I don't ask for duplicates here. I got a few videos of this guy I want to play. And ICE, again, the argument is from his perspective, oh, wait a minute, more illegals are in. Totally just wants you to forget about the fact that the Biden administration allowed 10, 15, 20 million, we don't even know, illegals into the country. And they are hell bent on trying to keep as many of those illegals in the country as they can, get them acclimated, make sure they get jobs, so on, etc. Because the goal is, if they can get past these midterms, if they can win these midterms, they can totally try to upend and destroy Trump's border policies. Now, there may be some things right now, and I understand. Listen, I'm not gonna. I know the economy. I know the economy is tough. I do believe the numbers are better. We had higher inflation rates that were sustained under the Biden administration, but things can be better. I get it. Also, when it comes to the, I will probably get to that later. I want to have an economist come on to talk about the trade war, with Canada. And I believe that the tariffs were an effective tool for bringing about fairness when it comes to trade, or bringing other countries to the table, trying to incentivize them to get into the free trade market. Some countries were taking advantage of us. They're getting statuses they should no longer have. But at the same token, there's something going on that I think Americans need to be concerned about, because we have kind of a two-front war. We've got a trade war going on, and then we've got the war in Iran that we've got to really wrap up and I believe win, in my opinion. But anyway, I will slide that to the side now and save that topic for a little later. little later. I want to go to another. I want to go to another cut. This is El Said on reparations, cut number 21. Cut number 21, please, Gabe.
And we owe the reparations of recognizing that this country was built on uncompensated labor of enslaved people. I believe we owe it to engage in reparations. There are so many ways in which we need to have a conversation about reparations. We need to invest in reparations. We need reparations in this country.
Okay, so we need reparations in this country. I wonder if Muslim countries need people that were enslaved and continue to be enslaved by Muslims need reparations. I wonder. I wonder if he ever got to that in that speech. Somehow I doubt it. I doubt it. Listen, guys, again, this is make Americans mad at other Americans. And then this guy gets to serve as a champion. I'll be your champion. How are they going to determine who gets reparations? How are they going to determine that? You know, where there were some, I realize there weren't as many or many, but you realize there were some black slave owners, right? You realize that there was a North African, was it the North American? I believe it was the North African slave trade where Africans were enslaving Europeans. How do we know if some of the slaves that were here weren't connected to that slave trade? By the way, slaves happen to be dead. The slaves that were here on U.S. soil happen to be dead. Their slave owners happen to be dead. Their slave owners are likely in hell. What reparations? Who are you going to give reparations to? The people that would deserve reparations are dead. And then many of the people that are here today that aren't black, many of them and their ancestry it came to America through Ellis Island when all of this nonsense had played out inside of the United States. And that's not to, obviously there are still some people here that have connections to slavery and so on, etc. What's that lady's name on The View? Sunny Hostin. You guys remember she was on that show. I forget the name of that show where she found out that her ancestry were slave owners. Kamala Harris, her ancestry, slave owners. So how do we determine who gets reparations? I mean, this is total nonsense. But the goal isn't. It's not that reparations would occur, even though they would try it. Like at one time they attempted it in California. Even Gavin Newsom shot it down because there's just a sense of unfairness that is so wrong. People that were never slaves will get money from people that were never slave owners. That makes no sense whatsoever. Do we have enough time for cut number 6 with El Said? This is more of El Said on Jesse Waters. Cut number 6, please.
So getting rid of Sharia laws, white supremacy, can you explain that one?
Do you know what canon law is? Jesse, I assume you're Christian, right?
Yeah, tell me.
All right, so canon law is the name for Christian law. I don't begrudge you your right to practice your faith as you choose. I don't know why the idea that I could practice my faith as I choose is a problem. Nobody is trying to push Sharia law on anyone else, just like I hope nobody is trying to push canon law on anybody else, because we live in an America where you should have the freedom of your religion. So the idea that you have somebody like Tommy Tuberville, right, who, you know, barely was good at coaching football, is out here trying to ban Sharia law when there's less than 1% of the Muslim community in America, as if somehow Muslims are out here trying to push Sharia law, that seems to me to be deliberately targeting the Muslim community because they're different. And I'm just saying that, like, I have no issue with people practicing their faith. In fact, I would never want somebody to push their faith on me, and I would never want to push my faith on somebody else.
Good, because no one wants you to get rid of your religion.
And so the idea,
no one wants that.
So, but when people preemptively go out there and start preemptively passing laws to ban something that's not happening, what you're trying to do is target a very small community because they're different. And this operates. I mean, look, I'm just going to say, there's statistical evidence that the president and the vice president like to target me
scary.
Simply as a function of my faith.
Okay. One of the arguments that this guy makes, and he's pretty slick, but I don't think he pulled it off. Basically saying, listen, I don't want Christians pushing their religious beliefs, practices on me, are pushing their beliefs on me, and vice versa. No one's pushing, he said, Sharia law on anybody, basically. What he didn't say was whether or not these communities are practicing Sharia law. Because if they're practicing Sharia law within the United States of America, that is totally antithetical to Western civilization. That is totally antithetical to our Judeo Christian heritage. You can be an atheist, you can hate going to church, it doesn't matter. You live in the blessings. You are blessed to be an American citizen because of the Judeo Christian principles that undergird the United States of America. And this guy is trying to take them away, in my opinion, with this identity politics, with this class warfare, and pushing Sharia law. The right word to use was practice. Are they practicing it? Because they shouldn't be in the U.S. All right. Let me get into the WNBA, and then we will call it a night, and I will deal with the I think the tariffs are a really important topic, but I just want to make sure that I have economists on with me to discuss them. So let me see here. You are listening to the Carl Jackson Carl Jackson show. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this. Okay. You are listening to the Carl Jackson show. Are there more WNBA after 21, Gabe? Oh yeah, 10-7. I have 10-7, 16-5 is what I have. But are there more? Okay. All right. So let's all right. Let's get to this. Let's talk about the WNBA real quick here. Oh, I didn't get to. Oh, actually, I need to finish up with how many have I done on Jesse Waters? But was that 2? Yeah, was that 2 with him? Okay. All right, it's fine. It's fine. All right, I'll move on. All right, let's roll it. Por favor. Yeah, let's start with cut number 7. No, 10. I'm sorry.
6-point basketball game. Chicago staying in it. Natasha Cloud.
Man, acting like a man.
And right before the break, this was the scene inside Wintrust Arena after Natasha Cloud
He could
got
hug
that
all
bucket.
of them.
She wanted her voice heard.
That big old wingspan.
We have talked
Like,
about
come on to me, little
the
children.
conversations surrounding the W. That is Enes Kanter in the building today. And he has voiced how he's felt about the situation. Natasha Cloud voicing her opinion as well. Kanter was just escorted out.
Okay, so why was he escorted out of the building? I really don't understand. She came at him. I guess he was wearing a T-shirt. What's the T-shirt? I think it's a Matt Walsh T-shirt that a female is an adult, a woman is an adult human female, I believe is what his T-shirt said, if I recall correctly. I don't understand why he was escorted out, except that a WNBA basketball player got upset that he was in the building. This from a league that still won't define and refuses to define what a woman is. I do not care about the WNBA. I know it seems like it as of late, except for this reason. Except for this reason. I think it's ground zero for the cultural battle when it comes to trans issues. I really do believe it is. I believe that it will die with the WNBA. And I believe they're holding on to it with all of their might because they are a clique. And they are a clique and they have a platform, albeit not that big, but it's gotten much bigger since Caitlin Clark has joined the league. And it's not what she wants to make the league about basketball. Sophie Cunningham wants to make the league about women's basketball. but you have a bunch of woke social justice warriors that are in a clique, and they happen to play basketball when they go hang out with their cliquey friends. And their cliquey friends are leftists, they're social justice warriors, they're part of the LGBT whatever community, and that's their respite. And now they've got this newfound fame, and it's inviting in people that don't think like them, people that are more interested in their skill, their merit, as opposed to how they look, who they date. Nobody cares about that stuff. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. And Enes Kanter is calling their bluff. I still hear people opining on Enes Kanter and Royce White talking about, oh man, they're faking it. They're doing this, they're doing that. They're just doing this for attention. I don't think so. I don't think they need the attention. I believe these guys are genuinely trying to help these ladies be able to define what a woman is in order to save their league. I'm not sure that this league can sustain. They got the golden egg, the goose with the golden egg, and Caitlin Clark. They can't stand her. Sophie Cunningham, they can't stand. Sophie Cunningham is playing this so well. She's just being Sophie Cunningham, but she's also piggybacking off the fame of Caitlin Clark. She realized Caitlin Clark is the star. She's the star. But Sophie Cunningham, her game, from what I understand, I haven't watched, admittedly, her game has gotten better. Her three-point shot has gotten better. Obviously, she's kind of a niche player now that a lot of fans like. Not that she's necessarily political, but she's saying, hey, I want the WNBA to be the WNBA. I want the W to stand for something. This is the Women's National Basketball Association. And they can't take it because I believe that this is a clique. This is a Democrat stronghold, and they don't want to lose it. They don't want to lose California. That's why they want illegals there. They don't want to lose the WNBA because they feel like if it's just about women and if it's just about women playing ball, they lose their niche. They lose their social justice calling, if you will. It's the weirdest thing ever. So Enes Kanter is really trying to save these people, and now he's kicked out of a WNBA game because these people won't define what a woman is. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. This is a coach over the weekend, one of the WNBA coaches. This is cut number 5. Her name is Cheryl Reeve. I have no idea who she's the coach of. I think she's the smug one that was wearing the T-shirt on supporting the mutilation of children. I could be wrong, but I believe this is who she is. Let's play cut number 5, please, Kate.
Games you guys have been at, this issue around, trans participation in sports continues to follow this league. Do you have any new thoughts on how it continues to be a topic?
I don't want to give them any more oxygen that they deserve. We know, I've said this before, transgender kids belong. And I think, as we're seeing sort of politically in this country, they found a talking point that people are buying into. And the only thing I ask is that people educate themselves further on these issues and what we're capable of doing when we work on something together. And that something is not used as, simply rhetoric to marginalize a community that does not deserve marginalization.
She thinks she sounds smart. She's asking people with common sense. This lady is a coach in the WNBA. She's asking people with common sense to educate themselves. Everybody knows that boys have a penis and girls have a vagina, except people in the WNBA. This is crazy. Trans kids belong. What is a trans kid? An adult brain, a human brain, isn't even fully developed until what, mid-20s or so? And you want children to make lifelong decisions that'll destroy their body, that'll destroy them mentally? No talk of all of the people that underwent these surgeries or began puberty blockers and so on, etc., that are now like Chloe Cole, that are now like, hey, these people screwed me up, that want to reverse the damage that has been done to them by adults that they trusted. And this lady has the nerve. I don't want to give them any oxygen. You're giving them oxygen, thankfully, because you keep making stupid comments like this. If they would just say, this is a women's basketball league. This is the Women's National Basketball Association, period. Done. Point blank. That's it. Well, I'm not discussing all this other stuff. You want to talk to me about how my girls are playing on the court? Let's talk about that. Done. Done. But she just proved they're a clique. They're more about the social justice aspects of the WNBA than they are about the sport itself, or promoting the social justice aspects, or getting you to bow down to their truth, a subjective truth, a delusional truth that boys can be girls and girls can be boys. What craziness. She didn't believe that growing up. She probably didn't believe that nonsense until she went to college. Absolutely insane. Let's go to cut number 7. Cut number 7, please.
What is a woman?
Being a woman.
Is not so black and white, and size doesn't matter.
That's our motto.
Okay. What does being a woman mean to you?
Buckets. Buckets. Apparently us.
Oh man, the league deserves this. I seriously hope, for the sake of women's sports, that the WNBA goes bankrupt. I wanted to see Caitlin Clark succeed. I wanted to see the women that really wanted to just play ball succeed. But it's obvious that these people are just a political organization subsidized by the WNBA. People are looking at and are curious about. I heard a sports journalist say that the reason why the WNBA has become so popular is, for one, the bifurcation of media, meaning, okay, now if some other sport is playing, you don't have to miss a WNBA game. You can catch it on a live stream somewhere, one of these other channels or whatever it may be, because women are being allowed to be their authentic selves. Sports fans don't care if you're being your authentic self. Sports fans care if you can ball. And then social media. No. There's 2 reasons, in my opinion, why the WNBA got the ratings, or the ratings started to skyrocket, and now they're reaping the benefits of, bigger paychecks and being able to fly on charter planes now. Caitlin Clark. It's as simple as that. And perhaps betting now. I think more eyes on it because people are making some of these bets. I wanted to play one more for you, but we won't. I'll just say this. Enes Kanter pushed back after he was told he wasn't allowed to play in the WNBA because he's not a woman. All right, so they've been told they're not allowed to play in the WNBA. Why? See, the WNBA would say because they're saying they're making a mockery of it. No, you're making a mockery of womanhood. He says, listen, Article 13, Section 1 says if you identify as a woman, then you are allowed to play. I identify as a woman, so yes, I can play. He should sue them. These people should be forced to have to admit that they're actually a women's league. Guys, listen, I appreciate you tuning in to the Carl Jackson Show. Please be sure. Okay. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. All things social media at Carl Jackson Show. I really need to talk about the Trump tariffs. We're looking at Christmas trees, but can't avoid. Wait. Like, I didn't see that one again. I'm sorry. Can you run that one back? You can avoid looking at Christmas trees, but can't avoid hearing broadcasts of Muslim call to. Wow, that is a great point. And now, from what I understand, I don't know if it's Michigan or Minnesota. Aren't they playing these calls to prayer like early in the morning. And some of these places when Muslims are allowed to, this is, wait. Put that back. Thank you. Thank you, Susan Turney. Is that 5883? I'm sorry, my eyesight is not the greatest. When Muslims are allowed to broadcast calls, that one more time for me, Gabe. I'm sorry. When Muslims are allowed to broadcast calls to prayer over loudspeakers, which no Christians would be allowed, that's pushing their religion on the community because you can't avoid. Yeah, very good point. Very good point. I wish I would have mentioned that during the podcast. Anyway, that is a very good point. You are absolutely right, and that's what that's what they want to do. Yeah, I really do believe they are using these useful idiots in that want socialism to usher in Islamism. They want to take over the world, and they want to get rid of. They want to destroy the United States. They want to destroy Israel. It's what they want to do, and sadly, they have a lot of oxygen. They're growing. I think Democrats woke up a little too slowly, so we'll have to see what happens. But more appearances like El Said on the Jesse Waters show, and he may sink his campaign. Although I can't say that I'm that confident since he's in Michigan. So I hope Michiganders wake up. Anyway, appreciate you guys.